What's up, bitches? It's been a hot minute. Your boy's been incredibly busy his post birthday week. Well, I guess it's still technically my birthday week. No, today's the 28th, so it's the start of the new week. So I'd love to catch up on. This past weekend, the 20th to 21st, I celebrated a early birthday bash with some of my best friends from all the way back in my banking days. I've made some great relationships in that job. I'm very lucky in this that no matter where I've worked, for the most part, I've made lifelong relationships. Except when I was a teenager, fuck those people. But since I was in college and post college, I have made lifelong friends in all four of my jobs, two at the bank and two at my current position at Amazon. So I don't know if it's just me or fate or what, but for some strange reason, people like me. And so I was taken out to Seattle and I stayed at a very strange, surreal, but very cool hotel called the Maxwell Pineapple in Seattle. And then we went to go see Johnny Marr and the Killers on Saturday night, and that was amazing. And then I went back home on Sunday, and then my birthday was on the next day, the 22nd of August. I turned 36. God damn! I do not know where the last 6 years went. The next following days, let's see, I had 6 dates on 7 days. No, 5 dates. It even confuses me. I'm not sure what's been happening these last few weeks on the dating apps, but I've been getting some pretty quality women swiping yes on me. And I don't know if I really want to call this a date, but on Monday, my actual birthday, I went out to a friend's house, and I haven't seen her since the high school days. And we were kind of friendly in high school, but not great. And then we kind of reconnected during the pandemic. So I guess you could view that as kind of a low-level date, at least a meetup. And then the Tuesday, I went out on a date with this Thai black girl. Went well. We smashed a couple days later, bumping ugly, so obviously it went well. Then the following night after that, on Wednesday, I took a white girl out to a really nice but kind of shitty overall restaurant right on the lakefront in Renton called the Waterhouse or some bullshit. And then I had Thursday free. Friday, I smashed the black Thai girl, and that was awesome. And then Saturday, I went out to Bellevue to have a quick coffee date with this Chinese girl I met online. The first Asian that I met on a dating app that proved to be a real person. So 1 in 3,000 is real. And so, yeah, it was kind of a whirlwind. And I'll get into all the nitty gritty with the concert and the hotel and the dates that I went in on. And I also want to cover some news stories. And yeah, so this is going to be a fun, filled, packed, full episode here. So let's dig in. Right, LaFonda? You want to say something to the listeners? Okay, LaFonda, chill, bitch. So, yeah, let's dig into my birthday weekend. So, as I mentioned before, I was taken to the Killers concert. And just a little aside here, when I was in college and I guess near the end of my high school years, I was a pretty big fan, diehard fan actually, and dare I say it was one of the quintessential albums of my early adulthood is the Killers' debut album, Hot Fuss. I love every track on that album. I know the lyrics to most of the songs. I do Mr. Brightside as one of my karaoke standards. And I can go on and on and on. Hot Fuss is probably a top 10 album, contemporary album of all time to me. Just because when it dropped, it was such a soundtrack to my life. Not to sound too cheesy or dramatic. So I was super excited to go see them in concert. I have never seen them live for liking them so much. Now, their later catalog, there's tracks here and there that are pretty good. Brandon Flowers went off the rails a little bit about a decade ago, and I was never a huge fan of his solo albums, but I digress. I'm not going to shit on the Killers. The concert was amazing, although I must admit, my one nitpick is I saw it at the Climate Pledge Arena, the new Key Arena, whatever it's called now. And sometimes when the singing reached a certain octave, it stopped sounding like music. It was just kind of noise. It didn't bother me so much because the majority of the time when that happened, I knew what song they were singing. And the songs I didn't know were some of the newer stuff, and they still sounded good. But yeah, that's probably my own nitpick. Is the Climate Pledge Arena doesn't have the best sound quality, but I still give the concert like a 8 out of 10 if I have to give it a rating, like I do everything. Jesus, what the fuck? And best of all, surprise, surprise, I did not know this, but Johnny Marr opened up for the Killers. Now, those of you who don't know who Johnny Marr is, that's fine. I'm embarrassed for you, but he was the much acclaimed, much heralded guitarist from the Smiths, Modest Mouse, and some other bands. And in his own right, he's released some pretty dynamite single albums by himself. He's an amazing guitar player. And so when we got to the concert, he was about done. I would have shown up a little bit earlier, or at least I would have pushed to arrive earlier. But, I saw about 20 minutes of Johnny Marr, and he played a few of his songs, but then he closed out by playing some of the more popular Smith songs, which just made me fill up my pants with happy juice because I love the Smiths so fucking much. Oh, Morrissey, you contentious cunt, I love you. And Johnny Marr is so fucking good. He's such an amazing guitar player. And so after the Killers played for about an hour and a half, at least it felt like an hour and a half. I really don't know how long they played. And they played pretty much all of the Hot Fuss album and probably 6 or 7 newer stuff, enough to keep the newer fans interested. By the way, it was not a sellout. There's probably an 80% sellout show, but all in all, it was an amazing concert, and they closed out. Johnny Marr came on stage and played a few Killer songs, and they played some Smith songs, and it was just so cool to see. Well, I'm not going to call the Killers iconic, but Johnny Marr is iconic, at least in the alternative or indie music scene. The Killers, I would say Hot Fusses, but overall, I don't know. I don't know how much a Mormon band could be iconic in this day and age. One of my coworkers was also at the show. I didn't know this, and she was berating me for how bad the concert was and how dare I like it because I didn't go there for a Bible verse, she told me, which I didn't get it. Maybe it was because of the audio quality, but I didn't hear any Bible verses or anything. He was against, I don't want to assume anything. Let me take that back. Brandon Flowers did bitch a few times. He bitched about how many times they had to cancel this concert before they finally started to play. Then he happily said that this is a super spreader event and let's start a new strain. And I was, 3 shits to the wind. So I was laughing along with everything, I brought my vape pen in and I was hitting that motherfucker during songs. I was pounding these Topo Chico hard seltzers, which I'm enjoying one right now. Fucking exotic pineapple is the best flavor. If you like hard seltzers, check out Topo Chico. Pretty damn good. So yeah, the concert was amazing. To my left was a super fan from Vegas, and she told me all about how she, growing up, saw the Killers playing in like dive bars and garages, and back when they weren't even on a label. She followed them around Vegas when she lived there, and so did they. That's where they started. And she's seen them about 20 or 30 times or so. I mean, she was singing along with every single song. If I wasn't singing, she would elbow me and try to talk to me about the song. At first, I thought she was hitting on me, but then I realized I was just high and piss-ass drunk, and she was dead sober because she's a Mormon. So she was just being nice. But sometimes, she was dancing, and her hip or elbow would hit me every now and then, and I would look, and there was a lot of space between us, so she had to go out of her way to hip check me. So maybe I should have copped a piece, you know what I'm saying, just to see what was going on, just to see how those waters were. Oh man, ruin a Mormon's evening. How fun. But yeah, it was a great time. Then we went back to the hotel. I think I mentioned that I was staying at the Maxwell Pineapple in Seattle. The dinner was so-so. Drinks were good though. They had a good bar. Good bartender as well. We went to a few places for drinks afterwards, I think. Oh, we went to McMiniman's. That's right. And I had 2, I think, blackberry or blueberry hard ciders. It's such a pussy drink. And I could only drink 1.5 of one. And goddamn, they give me indigestion. I just can't drink alcohol like I used to. It's basically hard seltzer, red wine, and marijuana. That's it. That's all I can handle these days. If I smoke a J or hit my vape pen and I have a beer, I'm done. If I do a shot of tequila or a shot of anything, I'm done. If I have two mixed cocktails, I'm done. But I can drink hard seltzer all day. I can drink red wine all day. And I'd like to think I could drink some liquors all day, like sake, maybe sipping whiskey or bourbon or something, but I don't know what it is, man. It's something to do with beer, white wine, and hard alcohol. When I say hard alcohol, I mean tequila. I mean, that's the only one that fucks me up bad. I've said it once, I said it again. The moment tequila hits my nostrils, I just start fucking dry heaving. Ugh. But anyway, it was a momentous occasion. It was the first concert I've been to in years, definitely since the pandemic. So it was a good reintroduction to the concert life, you know. It was good to go out with some of my friends that I haven't seen in a while. It was good to catch up. We got faded as fuck. Then we went back to the hotel, and I didn't sleep all that good because those bitches were snoring so goddamn loud. So I probably only got 5 hours of sleep, but fuck it, you know. Who cares? Then I woke up the next morning, got dropped off, went to visit the old man for a couple hours. I barely survived that. Then I went home and I crashed, baby. But then that following week is when I started my creme de la creme dating week, where I swear to God I was out on a date Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I smashed Thursday and I took Friday off. Did I see someone on Saturday? I did something on that Saturday. And then I don't remember what I did on Sunday. I don't know. The last few days have been a blur, people. I've not gone out this many times with different women on consecutive days ever in my life. And it's just how it's worked out. You know, I'm not trying to play them off one another. That's just the way it happens. Sorry if the mic is picking up my farts, but I've been having a lot of pasta lately, which means a lot of garlic. Ugh. By the way, one of the dates. Speaking of farting, the date that I enjoyed the least, I got gas, and I must have been farting every 2 minutes for the last hour and a half of that date, or at least the last hour. It felt like an eternity, but and I think she knew what I was doing because every now and then I'd lean over in my seat and I would just, you know, be sideways and I'd try to correct it. I never told her what I was doing. I never mentioned the food. I never got up to use the bathroom because I didn't have to go to the bathroom. I just had a fart. But it hit me so hard in the middle of this date. But it's okay. I guess I can dig into the dates a little bit now. The reason that I liked that date the least was that she was just too happy, too cheerful, and to me that screams phoniness. She was I think she was almost 40, teacher, single mom to two kids, white woman, and we got on splendidly online. Through we got her phone, we exchanged phone numbers pretty quickly. We like the same books, we like the same kind of art and culture. We like the same music, the same TV shows. I mean, we really were syncing up on a lot of the surface stuff, you know. She told me quite frankly that she was kind of blown away by me because I was by far the best guy that she has been talking to on the dating apps. And again, I'm not trying to sound cocky or narcissistic. I'm not trying to feed my hubris or anything, but I've been told that a bunch, that I'm one of the few guys that a girl can have a conversation with, or that I actually have opinions and interest in things that interest them. It could just be I have opinions on everything and I'm not afraid to share. But this woman, when we met, it was an initial shock because I could see in person she had a little bit of. Again, I'm not going to sound judgmental here, but her face was a little fucked up. She had some scarring and some acne scars, which, again, I'm no catch either. I get that. But on every single photo on her dating profile and all the photos she sent me once we were texting one another, none of that showed. And I don't really care, but I don't like to be caught off guard like that, you know? If I'm going to go out with a Phantom of the Opera, I want to see what they look like underneath the mask first. That's mean and a little dramatic. I'm trying to be funny, people. It wasn't that bad. She wasn't a freak or anything. But that wasn't a good introduction. You know, I don't like when people hide behind filters or photoshops, you know? There's been a few times when I ask a women before we meet up, when we're exchanging selfies, and they send me those filter photos. And I say, can you just send me a photo of what you look like now? I don't have makeup on. I'm not ready for it. I'm like, I don't care. That's what I like. I actually find women more attractive the less makeup they wear or the less makeup I can tell they have on. And I feel like it's low self esteem showing when all a woman shows. I guess a guy too. It's not just a woman's problem, but that's who I primarily deal with on the dating apps. I've been fooled a few times by some of the transsexuals. I'm not too ashamed to say. That's a whole other story. But yeah. And once we started to talk, we really didn't have a lot in common, but I couldn't just quite shake her cheery demeanor. Everything was so hopeful and happy and jolly and positive. And I'm all for positivity, okay? But you need to balance it out with some reality. Life is good about 30% of the time. I just made that number up. Fuck if I know. But she was talking like her life is awesome 99% of the time, and that's just fucking bullshit. And I tried countering her a few times. I tried complaining about some things, trying to get her to complain, and she just would never do it. She started talking to me about mindfulness and everything. And again, I'm all for mindfulness. I get that. And I was trying to meet her halfway on things, but nobody, and I mean nobody, that's agnostic is that fucking happy and cheerful all the fucking time. Every day is not Christmas, bitch. And what I liked about this white woman was that we both had kind of the same upbringing. We both went to Christian schools that fucked us up. Now we diverged as she continued with her Christian education through college when I got out in high school. But we were both agnostic. But I tell you, man, I cannot be with someone who's happy all the time, who tries to put a rosy spin on everything. Sometimes you need to bitch, you need to vent, you need to complain, you need to whine, and it's okay. If you do it all the time, that's awful. That's worse than being happy all the time if you're fucking depressed and bitching all the time. But it just screams phoniness, Ned Flanders. I can't do it. I can't do it. So I'm not going to see her again. And she was nice, but there just wasn't a vibe, and I think she felt it too. I made some off-color remarks and jokes trying to test the waters a little bit to see if maybe deep down, underneath that cheerful exterior, there lies a little bit of macabre humor, but I never did find it. So I think we kind of said it without saying it. It was good to meet, but we're not going to see each other again, which is too bad because we actually do have a lot in common when it comes to the elitist things like art and culture and all that stuff. But what are you going to do? So she was one of my 4 dates last week, and I think she was the third one. So I guess let's go back to the first one. I reconnected with kind of a borderline friend that I had in high school. Didn't really keep in touch at all because, again, she was a borderline friend in high school. But we stayed in touch as most people do these days through social media. And during the pandemic, we started chit-chatting a little bit more. And then we discovered that we live about 12 minutes from each other. And, she had a little bit of a rough go, and that's putting it mildly, lately with men in her life. And we started talking about, like, the dating hurdles, and she's a single mom. And just, it's good. It was good to talk to one another. It was good to catch up is what I'm trying to get at. She's deeply into marijuana like I am, which is great. She actually worked at a dispensary for a while. But, I'm not going to get into her specifics. That's in terms of her life and what's going on. That is her story to tell, not mine. But once things die back down, she's going to go back to working at a dispensary. And I find that sexy as a motherfucker. And we keep talking, and we've sent some salacious photos back to each other and everything. So I'm sure Smash Town's about to commence here shortly. But that's not why we're talking. That's just an extra benefit, I suppose. I never, like I said many times on this podcast, I don't ever go into a first meetup or a date, and I never really even swipe yes on a girl on a dating app thinking of sex first. Well, that's a lie, but I can really distinguish who I truly want to see and who do I want to just jack off to the pictures to or sext a little bit. I'm an animal after all. I am a man. I just learned to accept it. And so that was good. So we're still talking. We're still going to see each other. We're keeping it light, which is exactly what I want. The second date I went on was a dance instructor, and she's currently in a master's program to get her education degree to be a teacher. And Then what her goal is to be a teacher and then to teach dance part-time, as a hobby, as her love. That's her passion, is dancing. And we hit it off right away. And she was very upfront with wanting to go out. Here's my phone number. Within 2 or 3 days. People, I am good. I can't help it. We went out to a real shitty Mexican restaurant. That is the 4th time I've taken a girl to that Mexican restaurant. And the last 2 times, the food has been atrocious. She woke up the next day saying I had to live in the bathroom. It gave me bad gas. But we laughed about it. There's a better balance with this one. She is, what did she tell me? She's Thai, black, and Caucasian. But she's half Thai and then like half, well, I guess you can't be 3 halves, can you, fucking Angelo, you dumb fuck? She's half Thai and like 25% black, 25% white. So whatever that is. She's hot. We hit it off. And then she wanted to see each other again immediately. And so I invited her over to my place to watch a movie. We never did make that movie. It was pretty obvious what we both kind of wanted out of things. But again, I'm happy to take it. I'm happy to give it as well. Because, I think that Christian upbringing really fucked me up with what to do and what to expect when women are showing you attraction or showing you that they're feeling sexual towards you. And I don't know, it's almost like you feel almost a combination of sadness, dread, anger, disgust, and embarrassment. And that was basically me up until a few years ago. And I'm not going to say I've totally gotten over those emotions before, I lean in for a kiss or I take my pants off or I lower my face to that sweet puss or asshole. But it's just, it took me a while to get myself out of that bag of feeling negative about women who look at me in a positive sexual light. It took me years to shake off that dread feeling. So I don't know if I can put that all on Christianity's feet that did that to me. I'm sure my upbringing had something to do with it. I'm sure my own life experiences, but whatever. But that was fun. So we're still keeping in touch. And then I went out with a 4th girl in Bellevue. She is Chinese. And I mentioned earlier on this podcast that she is the first Asian girl that I have met online that actually turned out to be true. But no, now that I think about that, I forgot. I just told you that I went out with that Thai, black, white girl. And I did smash a Filipino girl a few months ago. So I'm already full of shit there. But my point is, and any single guys who are on dating apps can probably back me up on this, which they have, in person anyway, is that the 99 out of 100 of those gorgeous-looking Asian women, primarily Chinese, Indonesian, Filipino, Thai, occasionally Korean and Japanese, but not so much those two. Oh, and Vietnamese, too. And they either are lying about their location, and they're actually, somewhere in the Orient, or they just want to talk cryptocurrency with you, so you're probably talking to a 13-year-old kid in Russia, or they're a bot, or they're trying to sell you OnlyFans or shit. But the fact remains they're fake, they're phony, they're not real. So I never quite believed I was ever going to meet this girl, even though she was the one that said, hey, we should meet, I'm in Bellevue, it's my busy time of the season, she's an accountant in a tax firm. I guess this is busy tax season for businesses. But what the fuck do I know? I don't own a business that I'm aware of. And so, color me surprised when I showed up at the coffee shop and there she was. I thought, oh my God, a single, attractive Chinese woman that I met online actually agreed to meet up, and she's actually real. Ow! But that one was fun too. We kind of hit it off, but we only had a little bit of time because she was on a little break. But that one I'm not so sure about. In fact, considering that I have hit it off with a few of these other ladies, but I'll keep talking to her. She told me that she wouldn't be able to go out with me again until after the tax season, which is fine. And I thought maybe she was blowing me off and saying, well, I really can't see you again till whatever. But true to her word, she's texting me every day and gave me her phone number. So, it could just be different cultures. I would always put a woman above a busy season at work, but I understand that Chinese work ideology is massively different than America's. So yeah, out of 4 dates, I'm still talking to 3 of them. And I smashed one and looking to smash another one, which is fun. I didn't expect this at all. My goal isn't to smash. It just kind of happens, and I kind of learned to accept that I can't look at every woman I go out on a date or a potential date and look at her as a potential future wife. That is completely unfair to her and to me, and it completely fucks up the expectations and fucks up everything, everything. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just going to be happy to accept what I accept, if that makes any sense. I'm not going to force things. I'm not going to try to twist things. I'm not going to try to put on my rosy shades and see this woman as a potential future wife or mother of. It's not good. And if a girl just wants to hang out with me because she likes my vibe and all she wants is to fuck and to watch movies together, well, that's fine. That's fine. As long as nobody's getting hurt and we're being open and honest about things, perfect. And if a girl wants to become more serious and I don't feel that same way, tell her right up front. And I've gotten really good at that over these last couple of years. I never used to be. I used to hang around women and in relationships just because I wanted to be seen as the nice guy. I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but in the end, you end up hurting them much, much, much motherfucking more. All right, I'm going to take another sip of this. Topo Chico, baby. And so, yeah. Fuck, man. For some reason, bitches love me. I don't know why. I know why. It's hard for me to take compliments. That's why. I always play it off like, whatever. I'm a fat piece of shit. I try to get laughs because it's hard for me to truly believe that I am something that women find attractive or sexy or preferable to other men. It's that I'm still trying to get used to. I can work on myself, but it's a whole other fucking battle for me to believe these things people tell me. I didn't think I had trust issues, but maybe I do have trust issues with women. When a woman tells me something positive about me, I usually make fun of it or make fun of myself, and then they reiterate it, and then I make fun of it again. They have to compliment me the same way on the same thing like 20 times for me to look at them and be like, oh, you really mean this? Like, I'm just not used to it, which is kind of sad, but I guess it's good that I'm realizing it now. I'm trying to work on it because, it hurts. If I am with a woman and I pay her compliment after compliment after compliment, and she refuses to believe it, she makes fun of me or makes fun of herself, makes fun of the situation, whatever, she makes light of my seriousness, then yeah, it would start to really bother me, and I would wonder if I want to be around that person. So, like I kind of close out these podcasts, treat others as you want to be treated. I like complimenting bitches. If a bitch wants to compliment this bitch here, then this bitch, Angelo, should understand that this bitch is serious when she's complimenting me. So I need to stop being a little bitch. Ugh. So what's happening after this? Labor Day weekend's coming up. I'm going to go see a bunch of family in fucking Mukilteo. God damn these country bumpkin relatives I have. I love them, but god damn it, why do you have to live in Mukilteo? So we have to go to Mukilteo on a fucking Labor Day weekend. One of my second or third cousins is getting married. Outside the family. Okay, jokesters. And my good old spicy friend that I've had for months and months and months, Bernadette, is taking me out for a belated birthday dinner out in Bellevue, I think Thursday this week. So it's fun, I'm getting treated like a king or a sultan, and I just don't really feel like I deserve it. But then when the women tell me what their current or past experiences with, husbands, boyfriends, fiancés, I just think, Jesus Christ, man. Every woman has fucking horror stories. And I hope that I've never given a bitch a horror story. That's my point. But anyway, so that's my Killers concert weekend with Johnny Marr and the week of dates and leading up to Labor Day. Yeah, your boy was busy. That's why it took me so long to record one of these bad boys. I would come home from those dates and I would usually want to knock one out and then go to bed. The last thing I wanted to do was get on this podcast and talk about shit when it was fresh in my head. I said, let it simmer a little bit, plan out this podcast, plan out the episode a little bit more, and that's what I'm doing here. But there's Angelo's personal life, Never before have I gone on so many dates so quickly with so many beautiful women that I'm just surprised that they find me attractive. But this is the new life, baby. This is hot boy summer. But enough of this. Let's talk about the news. The first news story I want to cover is, fuck you, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Sarah Palin just got defeated in an upset special election in Alaska to replace the late Representative Don Young. That old cunt was serving Alaska's Congress for 49 years. Good Christ. Sarah Palin was seen as the obvious favorite to win his seat, and she has the endorsement of that Cheeto dick Trump himself. And not much was really known about her opponent, Mary Peltola. However, shocker among shockers, Representative Mary Peltola is projected, and it's been since confirmed, to defeat former Governor Sarah Palin to win the special election to fill the remainder of the late Don Young's term in the House. A stunning upset that makes her the first Alaska native in Congress. She is an actual Eskimo, a Yupik Eskimo. Y-U-P-I-K. Yupik Eskimo. So that is amazing. Some suburban white cunt is no longer representing Alaska. You actually have a native representing the lone Congress seat they have, by the way. Or not Congress, the House seat. They only have one House seat in Alaska. And it's now Mary Peltola. And she won in a rank voting system. But here's a shitty thing, though, is because this is America, you can't be too happy for too long. This is just the time to fill the spot of the dead guy's tenure, which is over in September and November. So she has to run against Palin again in a couple months. So, I mean, she's seen as the favorite to be reelected, basically. But my understanding is that she's only going to be serving, after this win, she'll be serving only a month or two before she has to do it all over again, and there's another vote. So fingers crossed for Mary Peltola. And by the way, this is the first woman, I believe, to ever hold that seat, and obviously the first actual indigenous native Eskimo, whatever you want to call them. Let me pull up some more data here. Peltola will be the first Democrat to hold the seat in decades. The last time a member of the Democratic Party was elected to represent the state's at-large congressional district was in 1971. Damn! And before she won, she was a representative of the southwestern Bethel region as a state lawmaker for a decade. She has also served on the Bethel City Council, and I'm going to butcher the fuck out of this word, Urutsaramiu Native Council Tribal Court. Whew. White people should not be saying words that are not in English that are longer than like 4 syllables. But congratulations, Mary Peltola. I'll be following this election, and Sarah Palin, I hope you choke and die. All right, moving on. Maybe you heard, but the Trump and the FBI are still playing a good cop, bad cop here. And of course, we all know who the bad cop is in this. It's Trump and his allies. And so since I last recorded this, it's been a couple weeks, but the FBI has been releasing more information to the public. And I thought, let me give a quick summary, although most of you probably know this by now. This is about a week and a half old, but still. So here's what we know from the latest release, that this is the 38 pages that the Justice Department released to the American public and to the press. And it is a somewhat, well, more so than what was originally released, detailed understanding of why the FBI felt that it was imperative to search the former president's residence and retrieve those documents. But here we go. 14 of the 15 boxes retrieved from Trump earlier this year by the National Archives and Record Administration contained 184 documents with classification markings, including several with handwritten notes. Of those documents, 25 were marked as top secret, 92 were marked secret, 67 were marked confidential. The Department of Justice was particularly concerned that highly classified records were unfolded, intermixed with other records, and otherwise improperly identified. The affidavit suggests that some of the documents had highly classified government information and others had information related to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. The FBI also identified documents containing classification markings that appeared to contain national defense information, which were stored at the premises at an unauthorized location. There is also probable cause to believe the evidence of obstruction will be found per the affidavit. Probable cause exists to believe that evidence, contraband, fruits of crime, and other items illegally possessed will be found at the premises, per the affidavit. Plus, there is probable cause to believe that additional documents that contain classified NDI or that there are presidential records to record retention requirements currently remain at the premises per the affidavit. And this is also kind of important to know that has since come out later that over the last couple months, we've had a lot of secret intelligence agents either being captured or outright killed or murdered. And this kind of coincides with Trump having all of these documents. Now, am I saying Trump having documents and is he possibly releasing these documents to our enemies and that he's getting Americans killed overseas under secret intelligence operations? I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that's what I'm hearing. But my point being, if you find out later that some of the information that Trump had at Mar-a-Lago that he should not have had, that was highly confidential, and it was related to actual American citizens working for the government as undercover agents or spies or I think whatever James Bond metaphor you want, and they're getting killed because of his irresponsibility or his outright promotion of it, then yeah, those gallows are going to be built a little bit quicker if you catch my meaning. But let's back up here. Let's go back to the release of this information here. So here's what we still don't know. Who exactly obstructed justice and who are the many corroborating witnesses? How many people were aware of this and who else might be involved who the Department of Justice is interested in interviewing? How were the classified materials mishandled and transferred? What do the surveillance tapes from Mar-a-Lago show? Who had access to these materials? We also don't know the nature and contents of the documents that Trump took with him just yet. The Department of Justice and the National Archives say they believe the information Trump possessed and still possesses could jeopardize the Biden administration and U.S. intelligence from carrying out its work. The breadth of the Department of Justice investigation is still an ongoing investigation, and this is just one part of their broader inquiry into Trump's activities in the final days of his administration and after he left office. So the biggest question of all is, could this search ultimately lead to the indictment of Trump and his closest aides? Well, it sure looks like it to me. Because, again, this story I was just reading is about a week and a half old, and there's been since more information to get released. But I'm not going to spend the 20, 30 minutes talking about that bullshit because I really want to get to this next article here. Those of you that follow progressive politics may know the name Maxwell Frost. For those of you that don't, Maxwell Frost is a 25-year-old Democratic candidate for the Florida's 10th Congressional District, and he just won. So, he is by far the youngest member of Congress, and he's already talking about his plans to elevate this current and new generation of progressive candidates to national, state, and local office. And so Axios did an interview with him, and I'm just going to quickly go over some of the highlights here. So, why does it matter that a 25-year-old surprise win in Florida, of all places? Why is it a big deal? So combined, millennials and Gen Z make up roughly a third of the 2020 electorate, but the representation in Congress has yet to catch up. Millennials comprise just 7% of the 117th Congress. 2022 is the first election cycle in which Gen Z candidates are old enough to meet the age 25 eligibility requirements to run for the House. Maxwell Frost says, I'm the first, I'm definitely not going to be the last. I will be very involved in the political side of things and making sure that we have not just young people, but just a whole new generation of people saying, hey, you know what? I can run for office. Not just Congress either, like school boards, county commissions, everything like that. This political novice hasn't finished college yet, but organized for the ACLU and March for Our Lives. He drove for Uber while campaigning. Backed by high-profile progressives, including Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, Maxwell Frost defeated seasoned rivals, including State Senator Randolph Bracy and former U.S. Representative Alan Grayson and Corin Brown. Incumbent Representative Val Demings is running for the Senate, so that's why. This is for her seat. Despite outraising his nearest opponents more than 2-1 with $1.5 million in August, Frost told Axios his victory was anything but a sure bet. I know what it means to run for office with no money in the bank and no support at first, he said. Frost, who is Afro-Cuban, will face Calvin Wimbish, a 72-year-old black Republican conservative activist and retired Army Green Beret, in November. The district is solidly Democratic, making Frost the heavy favorite. Frost believes his generation has a higher threshold for shock when it comes to politicians' personal lives or social media exposure. Consider recent stories that have dogged younger politicians like Madison Cawthorn or Finnish Prime Minister Sanna Marin. I think I kind of know what was going on with that Finnish Prime Minister. Wasn't they seen partying or dancing or something and it pissed some of the old people off? Finnish Prime Minister apologizes for photo of topless women making out at her summer home. Oh, who gives a fuck? But there you go. That explains it. I don't give a fuck, and I'm 36. Oh, Christ, I'm 36. God damn it. But I guess if you're talking to some 70 or 80-year-old and they see two topless women kissing at a prime minister's house, they may lose their shit because, oh, the inhumanity. Where's God in all of this? But anyway, Frost said there is a sense of truth to Cawthorn's case that many of his colleagues wouldn't be in office if they had grown up in the digital age, though he called Cawthorn's political stance disqualifying. By the way, if you don't know, the controversy over Cawthorn is all these leaked images and videos of him in sexually explicit situations and all that stuff, like wearing women's clothes, lingerie, pretending to be gay and shit like that. But he's I'm pretty sure he's a far-right Republican. He just lost his re-election, so fuck that kid anyway. But yeah, he was getting crucified a little bit for just bullshit. Who cares? There's photos of me in situations like that, and if they came out, I wouldn't give a fuck. During his own primary night victory party, Frost recalled, "I was dancing on stage, and some of the news outlets were like, oh, look, he's dancing. That's interesting." And in my head, I'm like, I don't really see that. It's not that interesting. Frost doesn't necessarily see himself as a disruptor in the mold of the, quote, squad, but positions himself with the young progressives who want a more pugnacious Democratic Party. And if you don't know what pugnacious means, I'll look it up for you, because I think I know what it means. I was going to judge you for not knowing the word, but then I remembered, I'm pretty confident I know what pugnacious means. Let me think about this before I look at it. I think pugnacious means like a little bit sassy, a little bit forward, but nothing like dangerously, nothing sarcastic or anything, but you're just kind of, think of like a fairy or like a Thin or something from like Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings and shit. Let me see. Pugnacious. Eager or quick to argue, quarrel, or fight. Well, I was completely wrong. I thought it meant sassy. So, yes. Good thing I did not judge those of you who did not know pugnacious, because maybe I heard the word pug in pugnacious and I thought of that fucking dog, and I thought, it's probably a sassy little not giving a fuck, but quick to fight. But yes, he does want a more pugnacious Democratic Party. Yes, I also want a Democratic Party that's willing to fight the Republicans a little bit more, punch them in the mouth, not play dirty, but just tell it like it is, you know what I'm saying? "We should not arrive at the table at the compromise already," he said. "There are going to be times for compromise. And what I'm saying is, let's not lose vision of the North Star." Well, the North Star metaphor is getting a little old, but I dig it. So, awesome. Good news that we have another young progressive. We'll be following this guy's political moves here. And the last news story I want to talk about, which is pretty fucking rad, I got to give Biden all the credit here. White House moves to make all federally funded research available to the public for free by the year 2026. I'm going to read that again. That's a pretty major headline. The White House moves to make all federally funded research available to the public for free by 2026. The White House put forth a policy guidance Thursday requiring all federally funded research to be made available to the public for free upon publication by 2026. All members of the American public should be able to take part in every part of the scientific enterprise, leading, participating in, assessing, and benefiting from taxpayer-funded scientific research, the administration wrote in the statement. A new memorandum from the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy seeks to make all peer-reviewed scholarly publications authored or co-authored by individuals or institutions resulting from federally funded research available without embargo or delay. That's pretty fucking huge. The move would end an optional 12-month publication embargo allowing journals to put work behind a year-long paywall, which the administration says has limited immediate equitable access for Americans. Data in peer-reviewed research articles is to be made available immediately upon publication, and other research data would be made available within a reasonable time frame. The changes will help level the playing field across a highly uneven funding landscape between academic disciplines, the White House said, and allow others to replicate and build on the primary research findings. Fucking A. Public access to federally funded research data also helps to level the playing field across a highly uneven funding landscape between academic disciplines, providing possibilities to scholars, students, and the public for secondary use of data that would otherwise be unavailable, the White House continued. The memorandum, signed by Deputy Assistant to the President and Deputy Director for Science and Society, Alejandra Nelson, what a fucking title. She is the Deputy Assistant to the President and Deputy Director for Science and Society. Jesus. Alondra Nelson asks federal agencies to update public access policies to reflect the new guidance and submit them as soon as possible, but no later than the end of 2025. So that's pretty good. Now, I see one wrinkle in this is if the... Well, no, I take that back, because I was going to say if it hasn't been peer-reviewed yet, then you may want to hold up. But they said that once it's been peer-reviewed. And I guess that is a little gray, murky waters, that the term peer review and, what did they say? Co-authored. But, okay, no, I'm stupid. Peer-reviewed, as long as it's peer-reviewed by scholarly publications, all that crap, and it passes the smell test, fucking A, put it up there. Why have a delay? Especially if you have to pay for it. Bullshit. Make it free. I love it. I love it. This, to me, is a very Scandinavian, European way of dealing with things, especially if the taxpayers are funding this research. We should basically follow along with it at a certain point. You know, you can't follow along at the very inception of it. That's unfair and probably has a little security risk. But yeah, once the findings are done, it's been peer-reviewed, and we paid for that shit. Yeah, motherfucker, I want to see what the hell's going on. So this is awesome. Good news, Biden. And yeah, since he's been having a lot of wins lately, and I think his approval rating has almost gone up 10 points. The last I saw, well, one poll says 9, another poll says 7. So let's meet him halfway and say 8 points. He's still under 50, but he's no longer in the fucking mid-30s. I think he's now in the high 40s or mid-40s, which I think is pretty good. But you know what? Let me look that up here. I don't think I can get a legit answer here, because Google will just show me whatever the fuck it thinks I want. Not the answer, but what it thinks I should see. Biden's current approval. Boy, I can't even spell approval. I'm smoking a sativa right now, and that shit fucks me up. All right, let's look at Reuters here. 2 days ago. 58% of Americans disapprove of the president. So his approval rating is just, say, 42%. Okay, well, that makes sense. But it's better than what it was, a month ago, a couple weeks ago, before all his legislative victories. Let's see, a Gallup poll says 44%. So Reuters, 42, Gallup, 44. What does 538 say? They're pretty good. They say 42.7, so 43%. So there you go. Just about a month and a half ago, it was exactly 10 points down, depending on where you're looking at. So, you know, the Democrats are just hammering the Republicans on abortion and voting rights, and it's really starting to stick, you know. And then this FBI raid, it made Trump a little bit more popular, and it did hurt the Democrats in the immediacy, but once more information has come out, and even Trump demanded the release of more information, that really made him look even worse. Some of his staunchest defendants are now kind of backing off him. So that's only going to help Biden and the Democrats, because now it looks like the Senate may actually swing Democrat. But I'm not going to believe in anything, because there's a lot of time left. There's a lot of shady shit that can go down on either side. But, you know, look who's getting their ass kicked right now, the Republicans. They're probably going to do some shady shit. And you just can't count anybody out. You can't count anything out, is my point. But if we just kind of hold true and follow that North Star. Oh, God damn. Got the emphysema. I got the black lung. If we just keep our mind on the prize and have some fucking common sense. I know Biden is having a national speech right now, so I hope he doesn't flub up or have a seizure or have a senior moment there, because if he just stays away from controversy and just kind of stays in the background and becomes like a wallflower or something, I think his approval rating may even approach high 40s by November if he just plays it cool. But with that, I think we can wrap up here. So, in closing, I was called the N word by a cam girl on Snapchat before all those dates happened. Literally, maybe the night before I went out on my first date, I was high and horny, talking to this cam girl on Snapchat, trying to get some nudes from her because I'm an animal. But I also knew that this was a fake account. This wasn't who I was really talking to because they sent over photos of stock photos, basically, of a poor woman that I have seen other cam girls, so supposedly cam girls, send me. So somehow 6 or 7 accounts have the same photos, or that girl is one busy cam girl. But I like seeing new photos. You know, I'm an asshole and an animal savage, but I'm also a man, and I likes to see nudes. And I was joking around with her, or he. I don't know who I was talking to, honestly, on the other end there. And this person told me to shove a thumb up my ass. And as a joke, I said, "Well, if I do that, you're the one that has to pay me money. Ha ha ha." And they wrote back, "N word, ha ha ha, you ain't shit," or something like that. And I thought, you know what? The supposed cam girl I'm talking to is white. And so I don't think a white girl would call a white man the N word. So, But, you know, there's a first time for everything. I thought it was pretty funny. I screenshotted it, sent it to my buddies for a good chuckle. Oh, but the language these cam girls use. Oh, they need to go to church. And so we stopped talking. But, you know, there's so many fakes, phonies out there. It's fun to fuck around with them and poke fun. I ended up dead sending a picture of my asshole to them. Or at least I tried, you know. I'm not good at taking photos like that, and I think I just lifted up my ball sack and put my phone underneath and just took a photo of my taint is what I think I did. But whatever, it was all in good fun. No one got hurt. But speaking of things getting hurt, I was given a gift card at work for some reason, and I used that gift card to buy myself a new belt. Because I only have one belt, and it's a boring black belt. And I don't really like wearing belts, you know. I guess if I'm going to a funeral or a wedding or something nice and classy, you have to wear a belt. But I thought, you know, I should get a second belt that's white or kind of white and black, something a little flashier. And I just got done listening to a podcast, or was it a nature docker on YouTube? I was watching something, and it was about the top invasive species that are wrecking parts of this country. And like near the top were boa constrictors, you know, big giant snakes in the south, particularly in Florida and Louisiana. They've been killing all the local birds, either by eating their eggs or chicks or outright killing the birds, and they're killing small mammals. And basically, what you have now in the swamps and the Everglades are just crocodiles and boa constrictors. And now they're getting cannibalistic and they're eating one another. So now you're just getting these giant cannibalistic alligators and giant cannibalistic boa constrictors. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, by the way, iguanas too. It's all reptiles down there because it's a fucking swamp. Florida is just one giant cesspool swamp of fucking nasty dankness, and it needs to sink into the Atlantic. Pronto, baby! But I thought, well, you know what? What I can do is maybe buy some actual snake skin apparel. And I decided to buy a boa constrictor belt. And I got it today, and that thing is fucking money. It feels good. It smells good. I let LaFauna play with it a little bit like it's a real snake, and she was loving it, but she wasn't damaging it because it's high quality leather. So yeah, if you want to support this country, if you really think of yourself as American, then start buying products and meat from these invasive species, whether it be those fucking wild hogs in the Midwest and Texas. If you want to start eating reptiles from the South, go right ahead. Now, I love animals, and I particularly have an affinity for reptiles. They're probably my favorite animal species outside mammals. I grew up having lizards and snakes. I think I never had a turtle. And I never had well, no, frogs and salamanders are amphibians. But yeah, I had a lot of lizards and a few snakes growing up. So I'm a big fan of reptiles. I mean, come on, Godzilla's my homie. But I also am a realist and say, you know what? If they're wiping out indigenous species, and start becoming man-eaters and cannibalistic pricks, you got to start mowing them down. And what are you going to do with that? Like, let it go to waste? No, 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 no. Use that shit. I was watching a Vice news segment where these, swamp people in Florida were selling iguanas on a kebab. And it's because, again, these iguanas are doing the same things that these boa constrictors are doing, are eating the local plant and animal life. And so they kill them when they see them, and they roast them on a spit, and they said they taste like chicken. And I thought that'd be kind of gross, because I love iguanas. I had a pet iguana. He was a fucking prick, though. He bit me all the fucking time. You know what? Fuck that iguana. I ain't going to eat an iguana, because fuck that thing. But still, it is a little bit odd seeing a roasted iguana on a kebab and people are taking bites out of it like it's chicken on a stick. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? Fuck it, man. With the way global warming is going and what the fucking beef production and, well, you know how awful those conditions are for chickens as well. But, those cow farts killing us all and the methane. And it takes a lot of space for chickens and cows and all that shit. So you know what? Fuck it. Start eating reptiles. You know what I'm saying? And insects too. We got to get over this. We're a pretty entitled, narcissistic, fat fucking. I mean, we're marketed to all the fucking time, and we're such retarded people that we just fall for it every single time. You're being marketed to non-fucking stop, and no one wants to eat a lizard or an insect because they think that's a low-class animal. We only eat the best animals. Chickens, turkeys, cows. But you know what we should also eat more of is horse. But I don't think horses are so plentiful that we should start eating them all the time. Like, I don't think wild horses, no matter what Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones say, are fucking everywhere. So I may back up on the horse comment, but you can eat horse. I hear it tastes good, although I've never had it. All I'm saying is expand your palate. Don't be a doofus. And yeah, with that, we're done. I'm off my soapbox here. So treat others as you want to be treated. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Don't be a judgmental cunt. And yeah, I love you. I know it's been a while. You probably missed the sound of my voice, but your boy gets busy. What do you want? Work's picking up. Bitches want me. I'm only human, right? Come on. I can't clone myself just yet. Can you imagine multiple Angelos running around out here? Good God. Well, I mean, that would take care of your food problem. You could just start eating my clones, because I bet I would taste pretty good. I eat a lot of olive oil and a lot of garlic and cilantro, and I'm not too active, so my meat isn't stringy. I'm high a lot of the time, so I'm relaxed a lot, so my meat is probably chilled and not too gamey, and I'm healthy. I don't take medicine like ibuprofen or Tylenol. I don't have a lot of sweets. I have an ice cream sandwich at night, but that's the only sweet. And I'm pretty sure coffee's good for your blood. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I'm high as fuck. But my point being, if we were in a plane accident in the fucking Andes and we were stranded for months and we turned to cannibalism, I would say, well, if you're going to eat me, I bet I'm the best tasting one in the group. However, if we're eating each other in the mountains in the snow-capped mountains of the Andes, I'm pretty sure my meat would have gone to shit. Although I bet I would look good losing all that weight. I would look kind of sexy, like that sexy Jesus on the cross look. You know what I'm saying? All right, I'm rambling here. Peace out, bitches. Talk to you later.